If you work in a big company, this is going to sound super familiar. Another year, another massive transformation. It feels like we're constantly overhauling everything, right? Especially now, with disruptions hitting us faster than ever. But what if all that effort, all that change fatigue, is just us spinning our wheels? What if we're all just stuck on a treadmill? Let's get into it. Just let that one sink in for a second. We've all been told that a series of these big projects is a sign of progress, of being agile. But this quote forces you to ask, what if it's actually a sign of failure? It means the first one didn't stick, and odds are the second one probably isn't going to either. And that brings us to this idea of the transformation treadmill. You're running, you're sweating, you're putting in a ton of energy, but you're not actually going anywhere. It looks and feels like progress, but it's really just an illusion. And it points to a much, much deeper problem than just needing a new piece of software. Okay, so if we're stuck on this treadmill, what's keeping us there? I mean, what are the mechanics behind this cycle of failure? We have to diagnose the problem before we can even start thinking about a fix. This right here, this gets to the absolute heart of it. It is so easy to blame the technology. The new software, the cloud platform that didn't work, but the tech is almost never the real villain. The failure points are the human decisions, the choices made by the organization way before anyone even clicks a mouse. And you can see exactly how this happens. It's a domino effect, really. It all starts with a seemingly smart decision, right? Let's trim the budget. But then that domino knocks over the next one. Critical things like change management get cut. Then, to stay on budget, you pick the cheapest vendor, who, guess what, might bring in a less experienced team. And boom, before you know it, the project is just a shadow of what you were promised. Oh, and here's a classic move. I think we've all seen this. The project team finds a major, critical flaw in a process. So what happens? Do they fix it? Nope. It gets tossed into a backlog for the mythical Phase 2. A phase that, let's be honest, almost never gets funded. The problem just gets kicked on the road forever. So when the shiny new official process is broken from day one, what do your people do? They can't just stop working, so they get creative. They build their own process. This highway analogy is perfect. The main road is blocked, so you're forced to build this messy dirt road detour just to keep traffic moving. But it's never just one detour, is it? More problems pop up, more detours get built, and suddenly that simple 1-hour trip is taking 2 hours. The process becomes so tangled and slow that people just give up. They abandon the route completely. And that's how these big transformations die, a death by 1,000 workarounds. Okay, that's a pretty grim picture, I get it. But the good news is there is a way off the treadmill. And it starts with a pretty radical idea. Stop transforming and start building. This is a complete shift in how we think about change. The goal isn't to get really good at demolishing and rebuilding the house every 2 years. The real goal is to build a foundation that is so solid, yet so flexible, that it can handle whatever comes next, with just a few tweaks, not a total overhaul. The whole philosophy is build it right and build it once. So how do you actually do that? Well, it starts with clear guiding principles. Think of these like the guardrails on that highway. They're not telling you every single turn to make, but they keep the project from driving off a cliff. And what's great is they empower teams to make decisions on their own without running to an exec for every little thing, because everyone knows the rules of the road. Those principles then get baked into real policies. And this gives us a simple, powerful checklist for a good policy, the 5 C's. I mean, think about it. A policy is totally useless if it's vague, if no one even knows it exists, or, and this is the big one, if nothing happens when people ignore it. Now, this all needs a very specific kind of leadership. The source material calls it front seat leadership. Way too many executives act like backseat drivers, They're chiming in with opinions, but they're totally disconnected from what's actually happening on the road. A front seat leader, though, they're engaged, their hands are on the wheel, and they're actively guiding the journey. So we've got our foundation, we've got the right kind of leader, but there's one more critical piece to this puzzle. We have to fundamentally change how we think. The problem-solving tools businesses have been using for the last 40 years, they're just not built for the world we live in today. For decades, the whole game in business has been about getting better and faster at solving problems. But what if all that efficiency is wasted? What if we've gotten really, really good at solving symptoms instead of the actual disease? What if we're spending all our time building a better detour instead of just, clearing the blocked highway. And this is where something called designed thinking completely flips the script. Instead of racing to a solution, it's this obsessive, deep process of first making absolutely sure you're even working on the right problem. It's all about understanding your users and challenging every single assumption you have. This table just makes the shift so clear. Look at this side by side. Traditional problem solving is all about the speed of solving. Design thinking is about the discipline of finding. One assumes the problem is a given, the other stops and asks, hey, are we even looking at the real issue here? It's a huge shift from racing to an answer to patiently understanding the question. Okay, a solid foundation, a new kind of leadership, a totally new way of thinking. So why is all of this more urgent right now than ever before? Well, because every single company out there is in a race, whether they realize it or not. Yeah, the starting pistol for this race is, of course, AI, artificial intelligence. The pressure on leaders to implement AI, to automate, to get smarter, it's absolutely immense. It feels like if you're not sprinting towards AI right now, you're already falling behind. But here's the massive danger. So many organizations are running this race blindfolded. They're adopting AI just because they feel like they have to. They don't know why they're in the race, who they're even racing against, or what the finish line is supposed to look like. And that is a perfect recipe to end up right back on that transformation treadmill, only this time it's a much more expensive AI-powered one. So, before you sprint towards AI, you have to get your own house in order. This slide really brings it all together. You have to ask these questions. Is our foundation solid and flexible? Do we have clear guiding principles? Are our policies actually effective and enforced? And maybe most importantly, are we using design thinking to make sure AI is even the answer to the right problem? Because here's the final crucial takeaway. We have to totally redefine what winning this race even means. The finish line is not a project manager sending an email saying, hey everyone, the new AI tool is live. That's just a lap. It's not the end of the race. The real prize, the true finish line, isn't a technology at all. It's an organization that has the foundation, the leadership, and the mindset to be permanently adaptable. It's not about surviving this disruption. It's about building a company that's ready for the next one and the one after that without having to tear itself down and start over every single time. So I'll just leave you with this question. Every leader out there is feeling that pressure to run the AI race. But just take a moment and ask yourself, are you just running fast, or are you actually running toward the right finish line?